to adjust some sound shit. Okay, yeah, we're good. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Umineko no Naku Koro ni. Specifically the fourth episode of Banquet of the Golden Witch, which is the third arc out of 8. As always, going to start you off with some content warnings. The content warnings are child abuse, character deaths, detailed descriptions of gore and body horror, mentions of suicide, misogyny, and a light sprinkling of awkward skeeziness because our protagonist is a teenage boy in the 80s. So if any of that is not your jam, then it's not your jam, and that's okay. Gosh. Also, if you are hopping on late, none of this is going to make any sense to you. So what you can do instead is watch the VODs on Twitch, or go to my YouTube channel, which now has all the VODs on there, and slightly edited versions, so they're, the breaks are cut out. Some of the technical issues are cut out, so they're a little easier to watch than the VODs on Twitch are. And I'll be uploading the most recent episode every Wednesday on YouTube. Yeah, even if you do follow the story from beginning to end, it doesn't necessarily make sense. This episode is going to be a good one. It's got everything. It's got drama. It's got more drama. It's got more drama. And yeah, you'll see, and then you'll know why I'm so hyped for this. Because this turns a lot of stuff on its head, and it's fantastic. And you're about to find out. Yeah. Is there anything else? No, we're all set. We're all good to go. Wonderful. Let's load our save game. The one I made after ending last time. Because I didn't forget. Which is largely thanks to the Pexor, who keeps popping in here and reminding me to save. Lily, you can put it in the Discord if you want. If you put it in the Umineko channel, yeah. Feel free to do that. Godo was doing the nighttime rounds. Rokonjima had always been empty, except for the Ushiromiya family household. So, checking that the doors and windows were all closed had no real purpose. However, ever since the time Natsuhi had condemned such an attitude as being careless, the nighttime rounds had become part of the servant's daily routine. In the first place, Natsuhi had ordered this because of the occasional witch disturbances. I forgot to do a recap, but I'm gonna assume that y'all know what the deal is, and that that's why you're here. Everyone who came and left this island knew about the legend of Beatrice, the Witch of the Forest. It had become established as this island's characteristic ghost story. Because of that, it was only natural that some people would claim that, when they thought they were alone in the mansion, they would hear a strange sound or see the shadow of a person. However, that created a little too much of a disturbance and reached Natsuhi's ears. She made a fuss, thinking that some suspicious person might have been entering and leaving. Apparently, she had roused all the servants and had them check throughout the mansion. Because of all that panic over the witch had happened, before Goda's arrival, he had only heard about it from the more senior servants. Ghost stories like that could be found in any workplace. Even at the hotels and restaurants Goda had worked at, there had been plenty of them. So when he heard about that story on this island, he'd given a forced smile, thinking, so they have that kind of thing here after all. That forced smile aside, he'd figured that, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, and had taken it seriously. Goda went along with it on the outside, but in his heart, he had assumed it to be a childish trick. At first, that is. This certainly is eerie. Yes, I can see why it was so easy for past servants to get into a panic. He could understand how someone doing the rounds on an eerie night like this might believe they'd seen a ghost if they saw a lace curtain waving in the breeze from a window that hadn't been closed. So, if you make fun of the witch of the portrait, there is a curse. It seems there was even a servant who received a serious injury and quit. Well, I wouldn't want that. Think of my age. I probably wouldn't be granted a workplace this hospitable again. Witch of the portrait? I'm working sincerely, so please give me some peace. Goda prayed to the portrait, his hands together, as though he was at a Shinto shrine. At that time, he thought he heard a sound. The kitchen? Was that the sound of something metal falling on the floor? Maybe a mouse or a cockroach had come out and knocked over some of the dishes. No, how could that be? It was usually cleaned thoroughly. Thinking he'd check out what that noise really had been, Goda entered the kitchen. He turned on the kitchen light. When he did, he heard a strange sound. Clink, 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 clink. To cook like Goda, the sound felt like the lid on a pressure cooker or something shaking. Surely there wouldn't be a pot on the burner when no one was in the kitchen. Even if someone was using the gas, walking away from it would be quite dangerous. Just in case, Goda decided to inspect the area around the gas range. What is this? When he did, in the corner with the gas range, the pressure cooker really had been set out, just as he thought. But the flame wasn't on. And yet, the lid was clanking. Was something fermenting and leaking gas? How could that be? Then, was there a mouse or something inside? How could there be? Ridiculous. When people were watching, Goda acted as though he had a bold personality fitting for his build. But he actually had an unexpectedly timid side to him. He was frightened that there might be something inside, and he couldn't bring himself to check it carelessly. In his cowardice, he grabbed a nearby wooden pestle, and with a clunk, he tapped it a little forcefully against the side of the pressure cooker. When he did, the clanking sound suddenly stopped. He should have been relieved that it had stopped, but the fact that it had stopped when he'd hit it was even more eerie, and made him even more suspicious about what was inside. Mysterious phenomena do not exist in this world. Yes, witches and magic, things like that, couldn't possibly exist. All phenomena can be explained with science. As if monsters and witches could exist. He repeated that many times, trying to build up his own confidence. The gap between what he was saying and what he was doing was quite comical. Who would believe in a witch? Who would believe in magic or curses? Come on. Show me what you really are. Take that. He removed the lid of the pressure cooker. And lying exposed there was the sparkling clean silver bottom of the pot. There was absolutely nothing frightening like he'd imagined. It's only natural. There's no way there could have been anything inside. By now, Goda realized that he had been a coward. So, while he still had some doubts as to what had caused the lid to make that sound, he figured it wasn't a big problem, and decided not to worry about it too much. Then he took the lid he'd grabbed, and softly set it back down where it had been. It's fine, it won't make a sound. Of course it won't. As if witches or magic could exist. Clink. Clink, 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 clink. Huh? Clink, 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 clink. Clink, 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 clink. all of the pots and dishes in the kitchen started clanking at once. It grew even stronger so that finally, the lid to one of the pots fell off. And from inside that pot, a slender white arm reached out. Lids fell off the other pots one after another, and another, and another. As if witches could exist. As if I believe it. When the number of arms grew to 7, a loud, shrill laughter split the air. What a letdown. Too bad that someone who can make such delicious food is such a lightweight. If you don't want him, I'll take him. He's all mine. Wait, I said no. I'll take him. Huh? What? Come on, let's search. There's only one more. That old hag. Where is she? She isn't in the mansion. What about the guest house? First one wins. First one wins, right? Come on, search, find her. Don't be noticed by the relatives in the dining hall, right? And don't get noticed by the kids in the guest house, right? Search in silence, kill in silence. After all, it's still just the first twilight. She isn't in the guest house. But she wasn't in the mansion either, right? Hey, I found her. She's in the rose garden. Why is she standing around there without an umbrella? She's already given up. All mine. You blockheads can just sit there and watch. I told you, no, this one's mine. Come on, if we take any longer, we'll be scolded by Beatrice. Let's take care of it all at once. There, found her. Surrounded her. Come on, let's get along and do it all at once, okay? Yeah, this is when the 7 sisters were sent out to kill the other sacrifices for the first twilight. Which our boy did indeed say. Let's get along and do it all at once, okay? Die. Huh? What? What is this? What naughty girls. You wouldn't happen to be friends of that child, would you? Just, what is this old hag? There's got to be some mistake. One more time. She's so cool. Why can she defend against us? Grandmas are the MVPs. Move aside. One more time. No matter how often you try, it won't work. This person is good. I'm waiting for that child. Would you mind calling for her? Do you really expect us to run errands for you like that? There's no need. Beatrice-sama. After all, even I have manifested by now. I was certain that you had awakened. Donovan, it's been a long time. Yes, truly, a long time. This person's talking to Donovan-sama without using sama. And it's been a long time. time since I've seen you too, Beatrice. She's not even using Sama for Beatrice-sama. Enough. Don't you know who this is? The name Beatrice itself is hers. I only inherited it from her. This is my teacher, the previous Lady Beatrice. The previous Lady Beatrice? Gold butterflies appeared in ones and twos from the Garden of Roses and began to gather around Kumasawa. Then, after she was wrapped in a golden sparkle, she burst and disappeared. Hey Anne, how are you doing? Welcome. I hope you're not... This is gonna be spoiler central, just so you know. We're in like episode 4 of arc 3 at this point, and there's about to be a huge thing. So you came in at the right time. Okay. Then, after she was wrapped in a golden sparkle, she burst and disappeared, and Kumasawa's form was no longer there. Instead, there was another golden witch, the one who once taught the path of an endless witch to Beatrice, and the only person Beatrice ever called teacher. Grandmas are the best. Her hair was long, beautiful and vividly youthful, and her figure in that elegant dress couldn't possibly have been mistaken for an old lady. No, this looked like a completely different person from Kumasawa. Well, teacher. I never even dreamed that we would meet each other again. Yes, neither did I. Thank you, Anne, for the bits. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you being here and hanging out. Thank you so much. I certainly never dreamed that my sleep would be disturbed. Such a troublesome time for you to awaken. If you'd remained asleep as usual, the first twilight could have ended without much trouble. Or perhaps I should be glad you're here. I was just getting a tad bored. As usual, it seems you're toying with sinless people in a vulgar game. I believe I taught you several times that the power of the Endless Witch mustn't be used to cause people trouble. Don't say that, teacher. Isn't boredom our natural enemy? This is just a little spice to escape from that. The more the corrosion advances, the stronger my power becomes, and the easier it becomes to summon my minions. But who would have thought it released a seal on you, teacher, at the same time? It's precisely because I predicted such a thing would happen, that I slept so very close to where you were. Though I prayed in my sleep that I would not be woken again. Being reunited with you like this is a very sad thing for me. You're as cunning as always, teacher. Ronove, have that young furniture step back. Furniture only serves its master. The master is responsible for all of our crimes. Certainly, Madam Beatrice. I have already passed that name on to this child. Come now, step back, furniture girls. I may give warnings a second time if you did not listen to the first. However, do not expect to receive a third. The expressions on all the characters in this are so good. Step back, Seven Sisters of Purgatory. If you get dragged into this, only dust will remain. Back, everyone. Ronove and the Seven Sisters of Purgatory retreated. I forgot that I have tea to drink. Hold on. Yes, of course. They haven't changed much from the other ones you've seen. But there's a new one. So here are the content warnings for you. Yeah, there's a few of them got added since, because I realized like, oh, this game goes a little harder on topics than I remember. So yeah, if any of that stuff isn't your jam, then that's okay, and look after yourself first and foremost. Yeah, he's toned down a lot with the skeeviness, I have to admit, but it's still there sometimes. But we've all been able to roll our eyes at it and kind of just awkwardly move on so far. I complain occasionally, but that's, gives me stuff to talk about outside of just reading, which is sometimes kind of nice. Okay, more tea. Okay. After that, what remained was the Beatrice, whose daring expression didn't falter. Ooh, I'm in the wrong window. He did do that, yeah. He's a good egg in the end. I'll start over. After that, what remained was the Beatrice whose daring expression didn't falter, and the teacher, Beatrice, who had given up that name and wore a composed smile. Well then, teacher, what tea shall I prepare for our long-awaited reunion? Let's see. This reunion was longer in coming than the visit of a comet. Perhaps I will accept your hospitality. That was the wrong voice. And if it seems a mistake has been made, I'll have you return my name and the title of Endless Witch. So, even the title of Endless Witch has a license renewal policy. As you wish, teacher. See how splendid your disciple has become, and see how far she surpassed you so long ago. The air between the two Beatrices seemed to explode with sparks. Oh, nice. Just by glaring at each other, they purged all spirits from that space. As they watched, the seven sisters shivered. After all, if they had retreated just 3 steps less than they had, they would already have been turned to dust by now. So come, Beatrice. Surrendering my name to you is the only regret I have in life. I will now correct that error by my own hands. You've got it wrong, teacher. I don't know how to do that sound with my voice, sorry. My only error was becoming your disciple in the hopes of gaining such a puny level of power, get it? What are you calling magic? What are you calling the Endless Witch? All you've got is a power that could be gained just by noticing, right? And you act as though that's so great and impressive. Your turn's long over, teacher. I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. What in the world is happening right in front of my eyes? You poor thing. It seems my disciple is causing you trouble. I apologize. Who the heck are you? Why did old Kumasawa turn into a Mei-chan like this? I mean, seriously, who are you? I don't get it. What kind of special effects are these? My head feels like it's gonna explode. I am the witch teacher of that child. My old name is Beatrice. When our child succeeded me, I gave up that name, so I have no name of my own. Like you've already said, your disciple's been a real pain to me. Please, take responsibility and do something. No, wait. I don't believe in stuff like this. As if witches and magic could exist. I won't accept this messed up battle. Damn it, what should I believe? That's just like you. Hospitality with a very quick temper. I'd expect nothing less from you, teacher. It seems this is so trivial to you, you don't even feel like opening your eyes. But I doubt you'll be able to win unless you're prepared to wreck this whole island, see? Come, arise, shoulder war towers. You're right. In response to Beatrice's summons, a terrific earth tremor split the rose garden. And on either side of her shoulders, 2 massive war towers sprouted and stabbed into the heavens. They stretched up to 100 marut tall, I don't know what that means, and each had over 360 ports. They were war towers of the gods' army corps, which had prevented even groups of ancient heroes from invading their sacred grounds. As Beatrice elegantly floated in the gap between the massive 2-headed towers, she looked down on her teacher, sneering with a sense of absolute superiority. With the 2 massive towers lined up behind her shoulders, the witch looked very small, like a butterfly dancing between huge trees. Don't think you can dodge it by turning into butterflies, okay? The density of the Twin Towers barrage wouldn't just make you a pin bug sample, it'd make you a madly stabbed pincushion, right? That was a tough sentence. Over 720 ports open on the towers, and godly soldiers readied their multi-shot ballistas. Would Beatrice peek you? Is that the end of your turn? Famous last words. Blast away. Damn. The ballista shots that numbered over 1,000 were all fired at once, drawing a beautiful geometric curtain of death. The boorish sound as the bowstrings were played was probably even deeper than that of a reaper swinging its sickle. Listen, it's like the plague times. You can wear whatever you want. If you want to dress like that, you totally can. Nothing's stopping you anymore. Come, arise, fallen tower. Split the single language and let that sin be known. The sky was stained an incandescent red, and from between the clouds a blazing, massive tower fell upside down. That massive falling tower and its rubble sucked in the thousands of ballista shots so that not one of them approached the body of the witch who had summoned it. That's right, no group of people, no matter how large, could approach the mysteries of heaven. That was the reality of the fallen tower. As I'd expect from you, teacher. If you do something, you always do it big. My turn is over. Come, arise, sons of Ivaldi. Bestow upon me a worthy spear. As the massive crimson tower that had fallen made a terrible gold-colored explosion, a massive spear appeared from inside those flames, so tall, like a tower, that you had to look up to see all of it. It was too large even for a giant's hand. That divinely beautiful spear of the gods was so massive, it gave the illusion that the fallen tower had turned into a spear of the same size. It was a spear of certain victory that none could escape. Looks like your twin towers won't help you now. How foolish, to block off your means of escape on both sides. You can't defend even against a single spear. And she snapped her fingers in command. The massive tower-sized spear shot at Beatrice like a lightning bolt. It aimed right for the middle of the center of the Golden Witch's heart with extreme precision, as she danced in the gap between the towers like a butterfly, slicing straight through the air like a flash of lightning. So, you used Gungnir at a moment like this. Sorry about that. You really are incredible, teacher. Burst, useless towers. Arise, giant soldier battle line. Fully block that divine spear with your shields and chests. The shoulder war towers exploded in gold. They became several billion gold butterflies. Those butterflies took the shape of 7 massive armored soldiers, each stretched a full 50 into the sky, and they lined up in front of Beatrice, protecting their master, holding massive shields that towered like windmills. They were as massive as a mountain range. The witch behind them was like a small moon hiding behind the mountains. Once in the past, when the massive shields these giants held had been readied by the whole regiment, they had protected King Wilhelm's castle not only from arrows, but from the wind and the rain. For when they had faced upwards and held their shields to the heavens, not a single raindrop had come through. Foolish. The shame of a witch who has forgotten to respect things sacred. Did you think mere giants could defend against the spear of the gods? Indeed. No matter how much human metal you are armed with, you cannot block a spear of the gods. A wonderful epaulette mate by Madame. No way! Beatrice-sama! Of course I haven't forgotten, teacher. Come, arise, disciples of Hephaestus. Bestow upon me a worthy shield. A golden whirlwind arose at the feet of the giant soldiers. It was a cloud of countless butterflies. They attached themselves to the massive shields like gold leaf, sparkling like they were a gold mirror. It was the absolute defensive wall given to a goddess by the chief of the gods, the Aegis shield. The holy spear, which left a dignified tail behind it like a comet, crashed into the mountain range of that gold shield. There was a terrible, thunderous roar. It was the creaking of the pillars that held up the heavens. The divine spear spun around and around, and was sent flying in the direction of the setting sun. Impossible. She defended against the divine spear. No, that is not correct. The divine spear avoided her. It is a law of the gods that an absolute spear and an absolute shield must never fight one another. Although, in the end, it means the same thing as defending against it. Your skills have improved from engaging in these fights so often. Or rather, it seems you're still as bad as ever at this kind of game, teacher. It's my turn to strike back. I shall follow the code and counter a spear with a spear. The giant soldier battle line, which had fully blocked the divine spear, released its holy god shields, gold shields. Excuse me. The shields fell to the earth, making the ground shake. When they did, another gold whirlwind arose. and the 7 gold shields changed their form into 7 massive spears of lightning lying on the ground. At once, each of the giants lifted one of their legs high and firmly stomped on the tips of the handles. As the earth shook with a thunderous sound, the 7 lightning spears spun beautifully and flew up above the giant soldiers' heads. They scattered into a golden splash and began to fall before the giants. Each of the giants squared off, and with the force of their whole body, they kicked and smashed them. Yeah, we've gone full anime here. The broken pieces numbered exactly 30, and became lightning spears of exactly the same size as the originals, which made 210 for the 7 giants. And all of those burst at once, with each splitting into 30 thorns, for a total of 6,300. At least this anime is good, unlike the actual Umineko anime. They became a barrage of thunderclouds, drawing a beautiful geometric pattern, and then each changed into 3 bolts of lightning, so that 18,900 thunderbolts shot at the predecessor Beatrice. It's over, Beatrice-sama. I would expect nothing less from Madam. That bundle of almost 20,000 thunderbolts must have reduced the teacher's body to dust. But there had been no resistance. Beatrice knew immediately that she had been fooled. At that time, from the direction that the sun had supposedly set, she felt the impossible rays of sunlight. A brilliant ray of light shone on her profile. It was the figure of her teacher, holding aloft the spear of the gods that had supposedly been repelled a short while ago. She bore a sparkle like the sun on her back, and made it shine on the incarnation of darkness. As Beatrice watched, she was trapped like a mouse in a cage, cornered in a dead end formed by the giant soldier battle line. And by now, the predecessor Beatrice had seized a position directly alongside that line. Playtime is over, Beatrice. Have I exposed my flank? Her bold expression hadn't faltered even once, but now it twisted for the first time. Faster than Beatrice could click her tongue, the predecessor Beatrice had released the holy spear. As it leapt through the air, it changed its form once more. Come, arise, Dvergar brothers. Bestow upon me the giant-smashing iron hammer of heaven. Giant soldiers, protect me. What are you doing, you blockheads? By now it was no longer a spear, but the whirlwind of a massive hammer that raised a sound like a windstorm as it flew through the air. It was a legendary hammer that had shaken even the king of the frost giants. So, the giant soldiers couldn't escape from that fear. So, regardless of how strongly their master ordered them, they couldn't get in the path of that hammer. Back rank mate. Rest in peace. Now, damn it. Before the whirlwind of that massive chunk of metal, Beatrice was nothing more than a mere speck. The instant the whirlwind started to suck Beatrice in, she appeared to change into a massive war tower. The iron hammer smashed the war tower, scattering tremendous amounts of rubble, but it did not reach she who had escaped behind it. Furthermore, when the smoke started to settle, the war tower had sucked in the massive iron hammer without crumbling, and blocked the way. Even the giant smashing iron hammer couldn't break through the final tower protecting the witch. However, this war tower was actually the witch's last trump card. It was a war tower for dodging that could only save her from danger once. But this tower was impregnable, even No weapon could break through it. At that time, the moon disappeared. As Beatrice hid in the shadows of the giant soldier battle line in the war tower, she looked up at the sky. When she did, inside the moon was the figure of a massive horse ridden by the god of war and death. The predecessor Beatrice rode the horse with him. His cloak had blocked the moon and swallowed it in an eerie shadow. And the spear of the gods was in his hand once more. In other words, it was a godly knight who had jumped over the ramparts formed by the giant soldiers in the war tower, attacking from the heavens. You got me. Smothered, mate. It was fun, Beatrice. The struggle to the death between the two witches with the same name was over. The spear that had been launched from the heavens pierced the ground. The giant soldier battle line and the war tower split up into countless gold butterflies, wrapping the area in a gold-colored storm. Then came the sound of thunder, and the sound of the falling rain and the wind. If you looked around, the rose garden was empty. The butler and the rest were watching the two witches confronting each other, but Beatrice alone had changed. I don't know why it's called a smothered mate. I believe it's a chess move. And fun fact, that little effect on the screen just now mimicked how the original game looked for a little bit. And I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it was really cool. Oops. She had been pierced straight through by the spear, from the base of her neck and her right shoulder to her left buttocks, unable to even reach the ground with her feet. Horribly exposed like a pitiful pinned butterfly, tormented by the wind and rain. Beatrice-sama. As expected. A truly fearsome person. That settles it, Beatrice. Ouch. Beatrice wore a bitter smile of false courage, but a strand of blood dangled from her mouth, making her look even more pitiful. The title and power of the Endless Witch. You will return them to me now, along with the name Beatrice. You are too immature to call yourself an Endless Witch. Stop. Forgive me, teacher. I was just fooling around, okay? I will take my name back from you. I shall return you to your original form. Perhaps you should relinquish this power which is beyond you and live a life suitable for yourself. Come, try to remember. What form did you have? The predecessor Beatrice began to recite the words of power. When she did, small gold butterflies gathered near the skewered Beatrice and began to swarm around her. Like butterflies sucking the nectar out of flowers, they began to suck the magical power out of Beatrice, and it seemed to cause her intense pain. I see you found the Beatrice emoji that we have. It's great, I love it. A cry of anguish issued from Beatrice's mouth. She no longer had any power to resist it. Come, try closing your eyes. Oh, it should be on the screen, the stream chat screen. There we go. So then you can see it. Try closing your eyes. Try to remember. What form did you have? Come, Beatrice. Repeat it with me. Let us sing a song together. Then it will be over soon. Let us end your pain as fast as possible. You're right. How long has it been since I've sung with you, teacher? Come, together now. Come, try to remember. What form did you have? Come, try to remember. What form did you have? And the two of them began to recite the same song. More and more gold butterflies danced around, swarming around Beatrice. It will be all right, my lady. You will lose your place as my disciple, but that will not change the fact that you are the lady I serve. After that, I shall read a book for you again. I shall bake you apple pies once more. No, that's OG Beatrice in the emote. That's what she looks like in the original game. Just like it was long ago. Come, try to remember. Oh, she's blushing and everything. Yes, try to remember. Are you finally starting to remember? Hey, teacher. Did you remember? That thing behind you? What is this? When the predecessor Beatrice looked behind her, there was an eerie hedgehog curled up there. No, it was herself. There was another predecessor Beatrice, whose whole body had been packed with ballista shots, lying there like a pincushion doll. Come, try to remember. What form did you have? Or maybe that's not right. Come, try to remember. How were you killed? The predecessor Beatrice was stunned. Her form gradually began to fade away. When did you... At the beginning, I did not summon a pair of shoulder towers. And there were 4 towers. Teacher, you carelessly stepped across the 7th rank rook boundary of death created by the 2 hidden towers, which were lurking in the distance on either side of you. It was bad manners of me to say check this late. I simply must apologize. The battle had been decided at the very beginning. It had been over since the time the predecessor had leaned forward, readying her holy spear to attack Beatrice, who had been wedged between her shoulder towers. The hidden towers lurking on either side had bathed her in a windstorm of ballista shots from 720 ports on both sides, pinning and killing her. However, Beatrice hadn't wanted it to be resolved like that. She had wanted to let her teacher take her next move, and had continued acting as though the game was still on. She had immediately revived her with the endless power, and had made her continue the game as though nothing had happened. Then, the predecessor slowly remembered that she had already been killed, and began to vanish completely. When she did, the spear that had pierced Beatrice also vanished. Beatrice finally landed on the ground. There wasn't even a trace of a scar. And it was fun. Teacher, if you want to play again, I'll revive you anytime. And once we've had some fun, I'll make you remember that you're a corpse again. See? I did everything you told me to, right? Didn't you tell me to always put my toys back in their boxes when I'm done playing with them? Was it an easy victory? You fool. It was a tough one. If I hadn't tricked her with the 4 towers, I would have been the one dead. As I'd expect from teacher. But now I can stand proud. Now I have completely surpassed teacher. Renove, clean up teacher's remains a bit. I haven't lost my respect for her that much. That much. Emphasis on the that. Certainly. Tonight's first twilight became a little too riotous. A little cleanup will be necessary. I shall see to it immediately. Goats, it is time to clean up. When Renove snapped his fingers, blazing, sparkling eyes began to blink open in the shadows and darkness, becoming goat-headed attendants that appeared one after another. One by one, they wordlessly stood at attention in a line behind Renove's back. And yet, the new witch sounds like a witch, and Maria is constantly imitating witches, so yeah, it makes perfect sense that they sound similar, This time, what shall be done about the 6 corpses? Another closed room pattern. I'm in no mood to think now. I will leave it to you, Renove. An extraordinary closed room to torment Battler, if you would. Certainly. Then it shall be extraordinary. It's less me avoiding a spoiler and me being diplomatic so I don't accidentally hint, I guess. I have to be really careful and sometimes I overdo it. Like, it's not like they're secretly the same person or something. Don't worry about that. That would be very strange. Okay, where's Battler? Battler, did you see my big moment? Damn it. After being shown that screwed up magical storm, what can I deny? Forget just witches existing. After being shown that tremendous flashy fantasy, what can I deny now? I don't get it anymore. It was like that last time too, but how can I deny these awesome, wonderful, magical battles? Isn't that right? After watching this, you can't talk your way out of it, right? Okay, Battler, let me hear some ridiculous reasoning. Milady, your laugh is becoming undignified. Oh, my apologies. But that isn't my fault. After all, if Battler tightly closes his eyes, grinds his teeth, and shows me that ever so bitter expression, it just automatically slips out of my mouth, you see. So, Battler-sama, why don't you return to the table without losing heart? Milady is expecting your counterattack, you see. Quit messing with me. How the hell can I make a counter-argument? Yes, it is pain. In the first place, everything was already screwed up when that tower sprouted up out of the earth. Should I say that? Should I say that under the ground in Rokkanjima there's a secret laboratory for building super alloy combining robots or something? And then pushing a button can make these strange towers sprout up? Right, and then those huge giants must be the robots. Or maybe an evil secrets association's mecha monsters? I don't get it. Don't talk to me. Look. Don't cry, okay? Bang bang, it's magic. If you want, I'll crush the moon and make comets fall like rain. I can even bury the whole island in those massive breasted mechans you like so much, see? But you just don't. Come on. Look. My turn's over, see? Show me a response. Launch your counterattack. You can't, can you? Except that there's a quadrillion things you can't do. You're useless against this, right? You actually like this kind of fantasy, don't you? I get it. That's been going around on the streets lately, hasn't it? In manga and light novels and animated movies. Some teenage brats get a whole bunch of strange special abilities and they blow up all sorts of stuff with the fate of the world on the line. You love that too, don't you? I know, don't hide it. You love it, right? Hasn't the thing you love just been displayed before your very eyes? Why do you believe it in manga and anime, but you won't believe in me? Believe it. You can't argue back. Not after you've been shown something like this, right? Look. Answer. You don't need to think. You can just obediently say, I'm sorry, Beatrice-sama. Look. Try saying it. I'm sorry, Beatrice-sama. Try saying it. Say it. Don't be embarrassed. You have the power of God and anime by your side. Beatrice certainly does. Especially after all that. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I haven't played this version of the game before, so all those CGs and stuff, those are all new to me. Which, they're good. They're very good. And yeah, it's, when I love hearing theories, I really do. So if you have them, just send them my way. I love it. But I can't reply. I can't. And that makes, it's pain. But I love reading the theories. They're genuinely very good and interesting, and that's all I can say about it. Okay, just gonna finish my tea real quick. Oh no, I am not making fun of you at all, because I know what info you don't have, but because we've been reading these together basically, I also know what you do know. So, being able to conclude some of the stuff that you've concluded with the information that you have is fascinating and great, you know? And y'all are all very big brain, honestly. And I mean that. I binged these so quickly that I honestly didn't really think about it at the time. I think I read the first 3 episodes in the span of maybe 6 days total. Maybe less even. Like I just spent an entire day and then some just reading each of these. So my brain was like just shoveling in the story and not really thinking about it until later on when I had to wait for a new episode. So seeing the theorizing, awesome. I love it. I don't expect more, but if you have more, let me know. And that goes for the YouTube crowd too. Let me know if you have theories and ideas. I would love to hear it. Okay, back to reading. There would have been no way to tell that morning. That morning had come without opening a window and looking up at the cloudy sky, which had become a tiny bit lighter. It wasn't a refreshing morning. All that could be heard was the sound of the rain, which hadn't stopped falling since last night, and the howl of the wind. Yeah. It's hard to imagine that it's morning. This horrible weather speaks for our hearts. Hey, it could be worse. At least it's just rain and not spears falling from the sky. Whether it's rain or spears, it's coming down with a bang. Is it already 6? Isn't this enough? After this, we've got no measures we can take till the mystery 19th person Beatrice makes her move. True. However, I believe we have anticipated every trick they might use against us. That's right. As long as a traitor doesn't appear among the siblings, we should be able to deal with most situations. Haven't talked about this enough? We've stayed up all night. I'm tired. You're right. How about taking a little rest after eating breakfast? A good plan. Staying up all night is trying at our age. As they all stretched, they enjoyed this unrefreshing morning as best they could. I'll go wash my face or something. I probably look horrible. What is that awful stench? As soon as they exited into the corridor, Kirie openly made a disgusted expression. What is it? Hey, don't you smell something awful? What is this stench? I can't stand it. After hearing those complaints, everyone stuck their heads out into the corridor. The stench was faint, but once people started commenting on it, it was clearly noticeable. Each of them went into the corridor, relying on their own sense of smell to tell them where the strange odor was coming from. What in the world could it be? Let's have Genji deal with it. I believe he should already have arrived in the servant room to begin the morning preparations. Indeed, please do. At the very least, it's difficult to imagine Goda making a breakfast that would cause such an odor. Rudolph and the others searched for the source of the smell, and determined that it was coming from underground, from the boiler room. But the door was locked and they couldn't check inside. At the same time, when Natsuhi's group was on its way to search for someone in the servant room, they noticed something strange near the parlor. What is this? What a horrible prank. Who would do something like this? On the door to the parlor, drawn in a paint that looked like blood, was a strange thing that looked like a magic circle. There's no one in the kitchen yet. What is that? Ava's group, who thought the smell might be coming from the kitchen, had returned after confirming that no one was there and that preparations for breakfast had not yet begun. Then they noticed the change to the parlor. It's useless, the boiler room's locked. Wouldn't that be bad if something went wrong with the boiler? Has anyone spotted a servant? Is one of those vulgar scribbles here too? There was another one on the door to the boiler room. What's that? This creepy scribble isn't just here, but it's in other places too. You don't think this is the Witch of the Forest Beatrice's declaration of war, do you? Hideyoshi tried to make fun of it, but staring at this creepy magic circle while listening to the wind and rain really made it seem like a message from a witch. The dripping, bright red paint made one think of blood, which made it even creepier. Hideyoshi tried to open the door, but it had been locked. As a general rule, the parlor wasn't locked. Someone had gone out of their way to lock it. What does this mean? Could it be that while we were talking in the dining hall, someone secretly left a scribble on the doors to the parlor and the boiler room? I'm sure the servants are behind this. We were together the whole time. We all have alibis. They probably received some strange order from Father and pulled this prank. Then there's also the case yesterday with Maria-chan's letter. It's really easy to suspect that the servants are acting on Dad's orders and planning something. Anyway, where is everyone? They can't be playing hide and seek. Let's look for them. Before that, I'm worried about the children. They are safe, right? I'll go and check, and while I'm there, I'll see if there aren't any servants in there. Then let's split up. While you go to the guest house to see how the brats are doing, we'll investigate inside the mansion. I don't want to think about it, but maybe these creepy magic circles aren't just in the places we found them already. We might be wrapped up in some bizarre game of fathers. I will go to him and hear the situation. Though I doubt he'll obediently listen to me. The adults split up. As a result, they confirmed that the 4 children were safe in the so-called cousin's room, on the 2nd floor of the guest house. They had apparently stayed up late last night playing. All of them were snoring loudly, so Rosa decided not to wake them. This is how people do. Furthermore, Nanjo, who had returned early the previous night to rest, was also safe. It seemed he believed in the phrase, early to bed, early to rise, and had woken refreshed. During that time, Kirie and Hideyoshi searched for the servants, but they didn't find them. The servant room in the guest house was also empty. The children are safe. They all stayed up too late last night. The servant's room is empty. I looked at the shift chart and the morning shift begins at 6. They should have started working by now. The nap room is also empty. There were signs that a futon had been slept in, but it wasn't warm. Hey, isn't everyone's reasoning right on this? This is probably a game Father set up. He must have left those creepy scribbles and hid himself somewhere, trying to make us do something. Are you saying he's trying to see who's fit to succeed as wealth in the headship? Isn't that a bit... No, it might not be strange if Father was behind something like that. After all, Father loves doing things on a big scale. This might have been a finely tuned plan starting as far back as when the epitaph was hung in the hall. In that case, I wonder if they'll give us an announcement of the game or some explanation of it. It certainly would be nice if an envelope with a crest like the one handed to Maria-chan were to appear. Oh, that's right. Maybe Nissan and the rest have found something like that in the mansion. Dr. Nanjo, have you heard anything about this? My apologies, I have no idea of what is going on. And yet, yes, certainly. I could easily imagine Kinzo-san planning something on a big scale. Shouldn't we go back to the mansion for now? Maybe they found something over there. If I won't be in the way, I shall go too. I'll stay here. The children are sleeping upstairs. We don't know what's happening. We cannot leave them alone. That's right. I'll stay with Rosa-san and watch over the place. Would you tell that to my husband? Rosa and Kirie remained in the guest house. Hideyoshi went with Nanjo and returned again to the mansion. Never split the party. At the same time in the mansion, in a way that was hard to believe, or maybe we should say, in a way that gave him a bad feeling, Rudolph's prediction was spot on. The same magic circle graffiti that had been drawn on the doors to the boiler room and the parlor had been found in multiple places throughout the mansion. Aniki, how's Dad? It was no use. I received no response. I tried putting my ear against the door, but I couldn't sense anyone. There's no sign of any of the servants. Where in the world did they disappear to? This isn't funny. Father and the servants are hiding, and there are strange magic circles all over the mansion. What in the world is happening? There weren't only magic circles on the door to the boiler room and the door to the parlor. There were 2 on the 2nd floor, and 1 on the 3rd floor for a total of 5. They were all the same magic circle, and all of the doors had been locked, so they couldn't check inside the rooms. Anyway, let's do something about the boiler room first. It'd be bad if something broke down, caught fire, or exploded. So we need the key. It should be in the key box in the servant room. They fished through that key box. Because each of the servants carried their master keys around, those weren't kept there. However, all of the individual keys should have been there. I can't believe they managed to fit so many keys in there. It isn't here. No matter how much we look, the key to the boiler room isn't here. Look, Aniki. Only the keys to the rooms with those magic circles drawn on them. are totally missing. Yeah, he's basically reliving this over and over again. Every time it's the same but a little different. And he's fighting the witch to try and find out what happened and save his family, basically. It's true. How bothersome. It's as though someone didn't want us to go into the rooms with the magic circles. No, they went to all the trouble of making those magic circles obvious, so maybe they wanted us to enter. I don't know if you heard that, but that was a dog. I may need to take a break in 1 or 2 seconds. Maybe 5 or 10 seconds. Alright. I'm gonna have to take a longer break than usual to walk the dog that I'm basically babysitting. Yeah, because he needs to go walkies. I think it's the latter. This isn't a movie, so breaking down the door is probably impossible. Smashing a window might do the trick, though. For a while, Krause pondered over whether the situation really called for smashing a window. Dude, 5 people are missing. At that time, Hideyoshi and Nanjo returned. There was nothing strange in the guest house, and the children were safe. They told the others that Rosa and Kirie had stayed to watch over the place. Good morning. I heard that something strange has happened. Good morning, Dr. Nanjo. I apologize for waking you so early in the morning. What is it? Did you find a letter or something? I was sure you'd have found something like that by now. You're right. I also believe this to be a massive joke or game of fathers. But if that's the case, there should be some letter telling us about it. Like the letter that was given to Maria-chan. What if Maria-chan's letter actually was the announcement, telling us that the game was on? The rules of the game, try solving the riddle of the epitaph, have already been made clear. Then what might the 5 magic circles we found in the mansion represent? And the missing servants? Natsuhine-san, how many servants were there today in total? Genji, Goda, 5 of them, but why? So, there are 5 servants. There are also 5 magic circles. It's probably a coincidence, but I don't like it. And I think that is where I'm gonna call on the break. Gonna be very harsh audio cut there, sorry about that. And just gonna swap. There we go. I will be back, again, longer break than usual, because this little boy needs to go walking. But after that, we're just gonna continue on, and before I start up again, I can tell you the story about that one little emote that we have. But, yeah, back soon. Hello. I returned from my walk. Let me just get the game screen back up. There we go. The dog's still puttering around a little bit, but it shouldn't be too noticeable. Hopefully. But yes. Alright, I hope you have a good lunch. And thank you for lurking. Doggo ASMR. Oh, he decided to eat part of his dinner right now. Oh, that is actually definitely being picked up by the mic, so Doggo ASMR it is. I'm absolutely gonna cut this out of the VOD. Cool. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, it's always nice, reassuring when y'all tell me like, hell yeah, I don't mind the noise in the background, because there's not a whole lot I can do about that. So, unless I were to like basically change this entire room, which I'm not gonna do most likely. Maybe one day. But yeah, exactly, because everyone's okay with it. So then I don't have to do anything and I don't feel bad about it. So it's great. I'm very grateful. I'm looking up a picture of, I almost said our Lord and Savior, but that's not quite right. But I'm looking up a picture of Beatrice to show on the screen while the dog is eating, because, like, again, I'm gonna fucking cut this out of the VODs. So you get this live exclusive content that you can only see here, right now. It's dog noises. And a picture of a character that I like. And that's it. That's all you get. I hope it's worth it. Where'd the picture go? It's in downloads, isn't it? No? Where'd I put it? Yep, it's in downloads. Yeah, everyone should follow me on Twitch, because otherwise they're gonna miss out. Well, they're still gonna miss out if they don't watch, but that's a whole different matter. There we go. So this is what she looked like in the original game. This is what all the sprites look like. They were drawn by the person who wrote all of the game. And if you compare this to earlier sprites that he drew, the increase in art quality is fucking amazing. And the consistency is really good too, and all these characters have hundreds of expressions, so it's really, really good, actually. Even though it gets ragged on occasionally for not being super good, but it's, yeah, it's very distinct how the game used to look. It still looks this way, because I modded this to give myself sort of something new to look at, mostly. If you buy the game on Steam, the old versions are just in there. Dog just fell out of his basket. No big. He's fine, just clumsy. But this is also what that little emote is. It's basically her making a troll face. And yeah, the new graphics are making it a lot easier for me to play this game because there's a lot more new stuff to look at. It helps with my limited attention span. And yeah, there's this emote. You need the Better TV plugin for it, and the emote is this. Which, if you don't have the plugin, you can look on the stream screen in the chat there, and it'll pop up there, and it's basically her making a different face. And this is the face that she usually makes when the laugh sound is played. So what I did to find this was type in ahaha wav, like the sound file is named in the original game. I think I already told that story. And it was just there. Someone had put it in there with that name. And I want to know this person and be their friend. Because holy shit. Same brain, honestly. I would have put it in there myself if they hadn't, but I didn't have to. So this is like if you're trolling someone, then you could do the ha ha ha. Heretic Mantis is their name. They're the one who put it on there. Yeah. So that's cool. But now Beatrice is gonna go away for a bit. Yeah, it's you really as a thing that I have, it's pretty useless because most people don't have the plugin, but it's for my own entertainment. So I told myself I could have a little bit of I could have some emotes as a treat. But yeah, if you or anyone else does want the plugin, you can just download it. It's like that's what it's called. And it's easy peasy to install, but you know, feel free to not do that. But there are Iggy emotes on their exclusive one, so you know. Okay, I'm gonna go find my everything. I just need to go find my everything real quick. There we go. There we go. Clean all that stuff up. Do a little stretch. Shit, save my game. Vape, our wonderful friend Vape, I think is tackling some longer streams this week. So when he would normally quit, he's now going to continue streaming for like an hour, and then some, and after that I imagine it's time for him to go to sleep, you know? Which is great, and I wish I could see more of his streams right now, but I can't because I'm streaming. But that does mean that he won't be here as often to remind me to save. Which means I have to do it. I have to do it on my own 2 feet now. You know, I gotta take off the training wheels. But yes, I remember it this time. I hope he's proud of me. I don't have a good memory for it either. I've lost so much time in my life due to not saving. You would think that I would get better at it, but I don't. I don't. But you know, I'm trying. Okay. There we go. There's my sound. Because yes, we were just in a very tense situation, so let's get back to it. So, there are 5 servants. There are also 5 magic circles. It's probably a coincidence, but I don't like it. Nissan, let's break a window. We should check and see what's inside. We have no choice. Do it neatly. Kraus made his decision, gave permission to smash a window. And he decided that the first room they would break into should be the parlor on the first floor, where the windows would be easiest to reach. They had hoped to peek in through the window, but the curtains were down so they couldn't see inside. Rudolph wandered around the garden trying to find something that would be good for smashing the window. Eventually, he found a rock bigger than a fist and came back. You don't have to smash the whole thing. Just open it enough so you can reach the lock. Don't get your hopes up, okay? Rudolph raised the rock and hit the glass with it several times. Eventually, he succeeded in opening a hole big enough that he could unlock it from the outside. Covering his hand with a handkerchief, he just stuck his hand through that hole and cautiously unlocked it. We should probably cover it with packing tape later. The rain will get blown in. When he suddenly opened the window, the wind and rain made the curtain dance around violently. That curtain was blown to the side. They could see into the parlor they knew well. They were a little relieved. They'd thought there might be another bizarre magic circle inside the room, or possibly the traces of some creepy ceremony. In any event, they didn't want to hang around out in the rain. So the six of them, Kraus, Natsuhi, Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, and Nanjo, entered the parlor as a group. It seems that nothing in particular has changed. What's wrong, Shannon? Wait, are you okay? What happened to you? Blood! Dr. Nanjo, take a look at this. Hey, Shannon-chan, are you okay? Answer me. You mustn't shake her. I will examine her condition now. She had been in the shadow of the sofa, so they hadn't noticed her until they'd entered the room. Shannon was lying on the floor, her chest stained bright red with blood. Hey, Battler, where are you? Look, Shannon's corpse has turned up, see? I won't bully you anymore, so come out. Oh, there you are. What are you doing, clutching at your head in a place like that? Battler was crouching under the table, holding his head. His pitiful figure made it plainly clear that he didn't want to see anything, didn't want to hear anything. Had he heard Beatrice's sneering voice? Do you need to hear back there? Could he not hear, or was he pretending that he couldn't hear? In any event, it was clear that he'd closed up his heart like a shell. Perhaps you tormented him too much, my lady. After showing him all that and demanding a counter-argument, I can understand why he'd want to mope around. Hey, Battler. If you can't argue back, then resign, okay? It's your turn. If you don't make a move or pass, or else give up, we won't get anywhere. What's that? I can't hear you. I said be quiet. Shut up. A witch, magic. Why don't you just do whatever you want? I don't believe any of it. Damn it. Don't talk to me, don't show me anything. Disappear, just disappear. Don't get that annoying face near me. Beatrice winced reflexively at this Battler's sudden rage. Even if you say that, if you don't finish your turn, then my turn won't come. In fact, I'm the one asking you to stop boring me. Who cares? Be quiet. Shut up. Who cares about your game? I won't go along with it. If your turn won't come until mine's finished, then just wait for all eternity. I don't get it. I won't accept witches or magic. I won't accept something that's screwed up. I just said don't talk to me. I don't know what's what anymore. After being shown something that screwed up, how could I resist? I wandered aimlessly through the rose garden. It was raining and windy, but that didn't mean my body got wet. There was just a feeling of isolation as I wandered amidst the wind and rain without an umbrella. Maybe I lost in that person's game a long time ago. Actually, didn't we already have a clear winner and loser in the last game? After all, I surrendered for a time. That's why the world was tinted with witches and magic. Right now, Rokanjima is a different world, where witches stride around openly and fire off strange spells. Yes, we did. He basically gave up. Ish. Also, here's the content warning again real quick, because my timer is broken. Huh? My everything's broken. There we go. Okay. Just for anyone who does hop in late, you know. It's good to have that repeated every now and then. Right now, Rokanjima is a different world, where witches stride around openly and fire off strange spells. Also, welcome back. It isn't a matter of accepting it or denying it. Maybe I mistakenly assumed that I was playing a game on an even footing with Beato. Maybe I was already defeated in the last game, and this is just the signing ceremony of my surrender. A minute ago, a terrible battle unfolded in this rose garden. I saw it with my own eyes. I kicked the ground. Obviously, the ground was hard, and water from a puddle splashed. Several towers had split this ground, sprouting like high-rise buildings. The more I kicked this ground, the more it felt like that couldn't possibly have happened. But for that very reason, I couldn't explain it with anything other than magic anymore. If it was a closed room with a key shut up inside. Hi, Vape. Welcome. We were just talking about you, actually. I was just telling people that, you know, you're streaming, because you mentioned you were going to stream longer now, and how that's cool and stuff, and that did mean less save reminders for me, so I have to, you know, do it with the training wheels off, and then you show up with a save reminder. I will save. Hello, Raiders. Welcome to the stream. Also, Vape, thank you for the raid. We're playing a visual novel, and we're on the third, essentially, book in the series. So that's a lot, you know. It's gonna be confusing as all hell. I'm very sorry about that. But, you know, we're just casually, just chill reading. Here's a content warning message for all of you so that you know what some of the stuff that happens in this series. This is all the bad stuff that happens. There's no, like, hidden creepy stuff that isn't in there. This covers all of it for this episode. Should I do a recap? There's so much to go over. It's such an intricate web of stuff and story that I have no idea how I'm supposed to explain this to anyone who drops in late on the series. But hi, hello, welcome. I'll do my best. This guy that you're looking at right now is Battler. He is our protagonist. His family is rich and into basically kind of like battle over the inheritance of the Battler's grandfather, who is rumored to have 10 tons of gold lying around on an island somewhere. They all meet up at an island, a typhoon kicks in, cutting the island off from the outside world, and then people start dying. That's all well and good. In the end, everyone dies. But what happens then is, a witch shows up that people have been talking about throughout the whole game. And she challenges Battler to a duel to sort of figure out who did all the crimes. Was it witches or was it people? And then the game started over again. So, the whole family goes to an island. There's a battle for the inheritance. People start dying. There's a typhoon. It all happened again. Battler at the end almost gave up because he couldn't figure out how to defend himself, how to argue that, yes, humans did this, but none of my family did this. And at the very end, he found a little last shred of strength. Then it all happened again. Family goes to the island. There's a fight over the inheritance. Typhoon kicks in. And we just found a dead body again. There was also a huge magical fight between two witches. And there's like a butler running around who is also a demon. And there's these 7 girls who are also sort of demons. And they stab people. And I think that covers it. If you want to give the whole series a try, I have a playlist with everything. I also have everything up on YouTube now, so I'm gonna pop that up too. And congrats on the new headphones. I hope they're good. Anyway, that was very long-winded. I'm very sorry about that, but you know, if this is something that you're interested in, feel free to check out the rest of the series. If not, feel free to stick around for this one and see if maybe you are interested or not, or just if you want to hang out. But whichever works, you know. Either way, welcome. Hi, hello. I hope you're all having a good day. I'm gonna get back to reading. If it was a closed room with a key shut up inside, I'd know it was probably an extension of stuff you often see in detective novels. But that big flashy thing, damn it. It seems my disciple has caused you much trouble. Huh? It's you. Someone suddenly spoke to me, so I turned around. And in the rose garden arbor was the predecessor Beatrice, whom Beatrice had supposedly defeated a short while ago. I was sure you died. So you survived. No, I did die. Now I am nothing more than a defeated chess piece loitering outside the chessboard. You're Beato's teacher, right? So in other words, you're a witch too. Yes, that is correct. So basically, that means witches really do exist. And the only one who can defeat her isn't me. That'd be you, since you can use awesome magic, right? I'm just useless now. There's nothing I can do anymore. No, my. Have you surrendered completely? What do you mean, surrender? How am I supposed to explain that? Towers sprouting and falling? Huge giants holding shields and throwing spears? Just remembering it makes me feel like I'm going insane. We're way past the point of trying to reason this all out, aren't we? We've left the level of tricks and things that can be explained with human culprits. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Calm yourself. I am nothing more than a piece on that child's game board. After being removed from that board, I am no longer a being capable of doing anything. But you are that child's opponent. As long as you do not give up on your own, you will always have the power to strike back. Shut up. Weren't you also reciting strange spells and summoning towers and spears? What do you mean, strike back? Are you saying you'll teach me magic too, and make me take part in that massive magic battle? If you wish, I could teach you a bit about magic. Oh, just what I wanted. Please, give me some awesome magic to smash through her chest in one blow. Don't screw with me. Did I save? Let me just double check and make sure that I saved. Like Ian. I did save. Well, that's 2 for the price of 1, babe. Thank you. I hear that in Japanese magic, there's a ceremony used to pray for rain. Do you know of it? A rain ceremony? That thing where you throw stuff into a fire and dance as an offering? That's not magic. They say that the fire causes an updraft, which makes rain clouds gather. That's supposed to be an accepted scientific phenomenon. Huh? I believed it to be a form of Eastern magic. But is that not the case? It does sound like a cult, but I believe believed people offered sacred fire to the heavens, as well as a dance of respect. That sounds like a cult. So that your entreaty for rain would reach the hearts of the gods. Cult. Maybe people did that long ago. But most occult things like that have a scientific explanation. Why do things burn? Isn't that because phlogiston is contained in the material? No, things burn because of a chemical reaction. Lavoisier abolished the phlogiston theory. Why does heat transfer through objects? Isn't that because caloric is contained in the material? I'm pretty sure that was abolished by Joule. Heat is energy, not a substance. You have studied well. Your knowledge is accurate. It's just some trivia. Phlogiston, caloric, and eventually ether and God's love. All are powerless before a scientific explanation. In the past, I was told that an apple falling from a tree was thanks to God's love, so that humans would be given food. So, even gravity is the love of God. And that's probably the remnants from the period when religion rather than science was used to explain everything. That is correct. In the past, humans called the limits of their knowledge. No, ignorance itself, magic. Like the rain ceremony we were just talking about. Did the people of ancient times realize that there was a scientific explanation? That fire gave rise to heat to cause updrafts that summoned clouds? Even without understanding these things, they at least knew the result. That probably happened a lot. That stuff called knowledge of the ancestors. Even without understanding the reason, through long experience, they knew that they'd achieve results. Phenomena whose principles they didn't understand were probably the same as magic to them. Like this person just said, ancient people who didn't understand these principles probably believed that through the rain ceremony, their wishes would reach the heavens and make rain fall. To them, that was certainly magic. As long as they didn't understand updrafts. If you push an electrical switch, a light turns on. Children do not know the scientific principles behind why a light bulb lights up. They only know the results when they push the switch. If they obtain such a result without knowing the principles, doesn't that make it magic to them? That's pretty interesting. Logically, that's true. For example, I don't have a clue why the brown tubes in a TV show a picture. Still, I think it's totally normal to see things shown on the TV. Even if I don't understand the principles behind brown tubes, I at least know that if I push the switch, I can watch TV. It's exactly the same as having a rain ceremony without understanding updrafts. In other words, if I don't know the principles, even TV is the same as magic. Or even magic itself, I guess. Do you know the structure of brown tubes? Have you ever taken one apart and looked inside? Nope. I think I read about it in a book or something once, but it was complicated and I didn't have a clue. I think that when electrons hit a fluorescent material, it creates luminescence or something like that. That book lied. Actually, there are small people called gremlins shut up inside the brown tubes, and they do their work with magic. Huh? Don't be stupid, there's no way that's true. How can you deny it if you have never looked inside a brown tube? I've never looked inside, but I can say for sure that small people like that definitely don't exist. Since there are no brown tubes here, that is impossible to prove. Yeah, it's impossible to prove right now, but later I can take apart a TV somewhere and show you and instantly win the argument. So, put another way, my magical theory that gremlins are shut up inside the brown tubes and display the pictures with magic is impossible to disprove until we can verify the contents of a brown tube, correct? What the hell, is it one of those? Are you trying to say it's a devil's proof? That's a favorite trick of you witches. A devil's proof is a bit of sophistry, one that takes advantage of the fact that negative facts are impossible to prove. However, it's different from my brown tubes metaphor. That could be resolved simply by taking apart a single television. You're right. It isn't really a devil's proof. You have proposed a scientific theory, and I have proposed a magical one. One of those is the truth, and which one it is can be ascertained the moment you look inside a brown tube. However, until the instant that happens, you cannot deny each other's theories. So even though only one truth exists, until you look into the brown tube, you can have two conflicting truths existing at the same time. You have a realm in which two truths can exist simultaneously, even though there must be only one truth in existence. Yeah, it's like everyone is sort of banding together almost to help Balor behind Beatrice's back, which is kind of satisfying to watch, honestly. Is the cat in the box alive or dead? If you open the box, you will learn the answer. You will learn the truth. However, until you open the box, you can claim that the cat is alive, and you can also claim that it is dead. Both claims are the correct truth, according to the people making them. And even though the two sides are in conflict, neither can win the argument as long as the box remains unopened. In other words, two truths can exist at the same time. You're right, it's because Beatrice is a jerk. Even though there can only be one cat in the box, it is packed with a living cat and a dead cat, forming a strange, separate world. That is what Rokkanjima is now. This island is now a different world, where a scientific theory and a magical one can exist at the same time. To a resident of the world of science such as yourself, at a glance it may feel as though this island had been sucked into a world of magic. That might not be wrong, but it is not accurate. Strictly speaking, it has been moved from the world of science to the gap between that world and the world of magic. So at a glance, it appears to you as though the world is tilted towards the magical side. But in reality, this island is now in a perfectly impartial position with relation to those two opposing worlds. I don't really get it. The gap between reality and magic? A perfectly impartial world? How's that? Hasn't pretty much everything that's happened been totally not in my favor? Then perhaps you could think of it this way. This is a trial. Think of it as a court where you and Beatrice are laying out opposing claims. Call it a brown tube trial. Your opponent claims that there are tiny people inside the brown tubes, explaining one thing after another, talking about the lives of these tiny people, what they look like, what type of magical power they have. And what do? Well, I study in a library and argue back by explaining how brown tubes are constructed. At this moment, both your claim and that child's claim exist in the court at the same time. If you find your opponent's claim convincing, it might sound like truth to you. It might look like truth to you. That is exactly what you saw. She is sort of almost arguing that magic doesn't exist. Yeah. Which is interesting for a witch, yeah. At this moment, on the Rokkanjima, witches and magic certainly may exist as truth. However, until the moment that the cat's box is opened, that world is an uncertain wave function. The entire situation can be explained by both sides at the same time. However, there is one truth. That set of truths shrinks with observation, and countless truths are weeded out to become one truth. It is like when, in court, the judge hands down his judgment. The two truths from the prosecutors and the defense's claims are reduced in number by the judgment and become one. To say it in your words, this island right now is the world right before looking into a brown tube, right? Therefore, the science theory and the magic theory cannot be denied. And since they cannot be denied, both can exist as truth. Therefore, both witches and magic can exist. However, at the same time, your opinion of denial also exists as truth. It is a world where two conflicting things can exist at once. And it is a world where conflicting truths cannot disprove each other. Have you managed to understand? In other words, no matter how much awesome magic Beato shows me, it's only a claim of a magical theory and it doesn't disprove my position. So, no matter what kind of magic Beato shows me in this world, it cannot become proof that magic exists. That's right. That child might even try to explain an apple falling from a tree with magic. Perhaps by shaking her staff and magically plucking the apple, then claiming to be the thing that made it drop down to the earth. However, that would be nothing more than another claim. None of your opponent's claims can prevent you from making yours. In that sense, this world is quite impartial to both sides. I get it. Still, by that argument, if I show a sound argument with my science theory, and it collides head-on with our magic theory, I also can't win against her. On top of that, the final judgment won't come until we peek into the brown tube. Where is the brown tube in this world? Because it exists, there should be no reason for us to argue. Why don't we just get along and peek into the brown tube? If there really is a tiny person in there, it's my complete loss. Otherwise, it's my victory. Why do we have to hold this debate without looking into the brown tube? That itself is the game you are being challenged to. Maybe, instead of a court, I should choose chess as an example. There, victory and loss are not determined by a judge. You who fight will decide it for yourselves. Can you win an argument with an opponent in a screwed up world where multiple truths can exist at the same time? In actual fact, didn't you lose an argument and surrender like this? Hey Campbell, welcome to the stream. How did DJing go? How are you doing? That is all the advice I can give you now. If you wish, I can occasionally offer you counsel. Yeah. I bet. I'm glad it was good. And yes, by this logic, no one can ever win. Or can do. There's a lot of hints in this conversation, let me tell you. Sure. Thanks. That really helps. I'll avenge you. Thank you. I look forward to it. You didn't pick up any of the hints, is that what you mean? That's fair. I have hindsight, I know everything, so it's easy for me to see it, but without that, it is hard. What's your name? Beatrice used to be my name, but now that I have surrendered it, I do not have a name. So I shall take a temporary name. Virgilius. Now, how about Virgilia? Virgilia. Like Valkyria? Wasn't that a name for goddesses that show up in myths? No, it means the guide who leads the way to Beatrice. I will guide you to that child, who waits at the summit of Mount Purgatory, It ought to be a fitting name for such a guide. Who would have guessed I'd accept help from a witch when I'm trying to deny witches? I see. If this is a contradictory world where different claims can exist at the same time, I guess that's cool. It's almost funny. I'm borrowing that child's words, but you truly are like a phoenix. Your will to fight has already been revived. Come, if your heart is prepared, return to your opponent. Return to the chessboard where that child is seated. I look forward to seeing how far you can fight with my disciple. Yeah, watch it. I won't listen to her babbling anymore. I'll coolly fight to the end. I definitely won't get provoked by her any longer. Then let us return to the seat of the battle. Yeah, you can tell that Balor's really sad when he stops flirting with people. That's his tell. Too traumatized. Honestly, genuinely, yes. Probably. His whole family died like thrice. Twice. And counting. Too sad to flirt. What an existence. Oh, Battler. Where did you run off to? And I thought losers never came back for more. Sorry to keep you waiting. I've cooled my head a little. And did you think of a response to that pleasant, thrilling, refreshing, highly acclaimed, wonderful fantasy battle between teacher and me? Isn't that impossible to explain without fantasy? Milady, didn't you just promise to be kind and act more gracefully? No, oh no. I just got into such a good mood when I saw Battler's face, you see. Look. How are you gonna respond to that battle just now, Battler? Hmm? Battle? What battle? What? In this rose garden? Where do you see those spears and towers you made lying around? They aren't there, are they? In other words, it's just like the inside of a brown tube. The inside of a brown tube? What in the world are you talking about now? At this very moment, there's nothing at all in the rose garden. Towers may have been sprouting with magic until a short while ago. However, that's only the case until we see what's inside the brown tube. That magical battle is nothing more than your interpretation, your claim. The fact that there's absolutely nothing to see here now proves it. This is how I argue back about that witch's battle just now. Right now, there isn't anything here, which proves that nothing happened. Maybe, Camel. I can probably arrange that. I'm working on more reading videos. So maybe. It isn't red, it's the truth. Okay, boom. Delayed sound effect. Come now, of course I can't make a huge mess when it's only the first twilight, and I am rather fond of that rose garden, you see. Deal. To prevent any damage, I had the fight occur inside a barrier, so it's only natural that it wouldn't have any influence on reality. That's your claim? Well, I guess that works. However, at this point in time, there is nothing in the rose garden, so nothing stands in the way of my claim that there was no magic done here. Wait, can you deny my magic with a mess like that? It is impossible to prove that magic does not exist. It's a devil's proof. At this point in time, this garden is the truth. The instant you look inside, the tiny people inside the brown tube will vanish, and there are no traces of magic here at all. So that battle between you witches did not take place. counter. That power. Could it be? Have you forgotten, milady? It is the multi-layered world's reduction technique. The power of a finite witch, the counter to the power of an endless witch. Only an endless witch can perceive it, and it is most effective against such a witch. Schrodinger's cat box? That old hag of a witch. What an uncalled for hint. We've lost time. Including the 5 servants and grandfather, there are 6 corpses. Let me check the scene. I've been trudging along and wasting time. From now on, I'll speed things up, okay? Take a seat, Beatrice. It's finally the first twilight, isn't it? Let's start the real thing. Show me what you've got. Thank you. I try very hard. It sounds a lot better in my head, honestly, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that's our boy. I'm very proud of him. If he doesn't... There are so many memes about Battler and Phoenix Wright. So many. It's so funny. But yeah, if you want to find out if he becomes a lawyer after this, you'll have to see. And so we'll have to finish the whole series. Forget what the adults expected. At least for us kids. These were supposed to be a fun couple of days where the cousins deepened their friendship. However, when we woke up, there was an unbelievably cruel reality waiting for us. George, Aniki, and Jessica were crying over Shannon-chan and Kanon-kun's deaths. Right now, everyone who was alive had gathered in the lobby on the first floor of the guest house. And there were 12 people there. Unbelievable, right? There were 18 until yesterday. And in one night, a third of that number had lost their lives. I eventually sobered up from my agitation and, along with my lack of sleep from being woken up so early in the morning, I was beginning to feel a faint sense of unreality. I want to think this is some kind of bad dream. My cheap escapism keeps telling me that over and over. Maria had gone back to sleep on the sofa Rosa was sitting in. Rather than her having nerves of steel, she probably genuinely hadn't had enough sleep. The adults were holding items from what was apparently grandfather's collection. Short-barrel Winchester rifles. Apparently, relics from that time he'd been obsessed with westerns. There were 4 guns altogether. Yeah, it's wild that it's so many in one night and that it keeps happening too. Those had been split up among the 4 siblings. Uncle Kraus, Aunt Ava, my dad, and Aunt Rosa. Paper boxes filled with bullets lay on the table, and the siblings were silently loading them. It's a little scary, even now, touching one of these. I get the feeling Dad'll yell, "Don't touch that," and hit me. Well, isn't that great? No matter how much you touch them, you won't be hit again. I can't believe it. To think that Father would meet this kind of end. Well, I never did expect Kinzo-san to die normally in his bed. But even so, it is too horrible. Hey, I wonder if that really was Father. I think it might be a different person's corpse used as a substitute to trick us. No, it was Father, without a doubt. You saw his toes, right? Generally speaking, there aren't many humans with 6 toes on both feet. But that doesn't mean that such people don't exist. I've heard that polydactyly isn't that rare a disease. He was a man who liked large-scale tricks, right? He might have obtained a corpse from somewhere that had the same number of toes on both feet. Ridiculous. Why would he do something like that? I'd agree if it was a normal person, but this is father we're talking about. Can't be sure Kitty-san's talking nonsense. One sec, I need some water. Oh boy. Hey, their granddad, has 6 toes on each foot. And Lulu, yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue for me that other people do deserve to die. Because there might be jerks, but like, they're not that bad. I guess. They're kind of bad. Kinzo's the worst though, so he deserves it. Automod caught that, but it didn't explain why it did, which is weird. I wonder if that's a thing. I don't want to know if that's a thing. Don't tell me if that's a thing. Okay, one more sip of water. Automod does hate you, and we hate it right back. It's very intense, and I don't know why, and nothing I do to it changes it. I did finish my tea, yes, so no spilling this time, thankfully. Okay. After all, burning a corpse makes it hard to identify. Still, there should be a few ways to examine him from his teeth and bone structure. If the police investigated, of course they'd be able to know whose body it was right away. The problem is that we need a telephone engineer more than the police right now. The boats probably won't come in this typhoon. So will they arrive tomorrow? Most likely, the boat will come again at 9 AM tomorrow. Then I believe we will be able to contact the police. It's the same for us, and the culprit. Until the typhoon passes, the island will be closed off. The dog was doing good. We went out for walkies earlier. Just from our parents' conversation, you could probably figure out the general gist, but let's explain the situation anyway. First, early that morning. In various places throughout the mansion, a total of 6 corpses, including grandfather and all the servants, had been found, one after another. First, grandfather had been in the boiler room, completely burned. The servants had died, each shut up in the rooms throughout the mansion that had magic circles drawn on them. The cause of death for the servants was uncertain, but according to Dr. Nanjo's diagnosis, there was a high likelihood that they had been stabbed by something like a spear, or possibly shot with a gun. Reminder that Dr. Nanjo is basically a GP, and not a coroner, which is, I mean, those are two wildly different things, but that's his conclusion. It's not his expertise. That was why the adults had started arming themselves with Winchesters. And what made the situation even more chaotic was the fact that the telephones had become unusable. It was unknown if lightning had caused them to break down, or if the culprit had broken them. At any rate, since contact with the outside had been cut off, we couldn't reach the police. So until the typhoon passes, and a boat comes tomorrow morning, we'll have to protect ourselves. After all, Rokkanjima is now isolated by the typhoon. And just as we're stuck on the island, so is the culprit. It seemed that the adults had stayed up all night, holding the family conference in the mansion's dining hall the whole time. And yet, the crime had occurred in the mansion. So right when the adults had been in an uproar over money, the murderer had been killing under the same roof. They say Aunt Natsuhi's been strict about locking the doors and windows at night, and yet some suspicious person had entered and left the mansion. The adults had decided that the inside of the mansion was too large to be safe, so they had pulled out the guns and moved to the guest house where we had been. Which brings us to the present. George Aniki had begged to see Shannon Chong's corpse, but the adults had refused, saying that he mustn't do so until the police arrived. That wasn't just because they wanted to seal all the rooms to preserve the scene. After all, the culprit who had killed 6 people was wandering about the mansion. To the Ushinomiya family right now, the mansion that should have been their home was now a danger zone that an unknown murderer could enter and leave at will. After all, it's a huge mansion. There are plenty of blind spots and dark spaces, and it's too vast to guarantee absolute safety with this number of people. Relatively speaking, the guest house was much smaller. It had 2 above-ground stories, something like 10 or so rooms. Apparently, it had originally been constructed to serve as a small hotel as part of the plan to turn this island into a resort. So it was easier to know what was going on everywhere inside it, and it'd be easier to keep safe. It made for a good place to hole up in. Also, it was extremely likely that this mass murder of 6 people was a game. After all, the culprit had proclaimed so in a letter. And yeah, this small one has 10 rooms. They are rich people. I mean, they own an island, I guess it makes sense. I heard that a Western-style envelope with a family crest, just like the one Maria claimed to have received from Beatrice yesterday, had been found in the boiler room where grandfather's corpse had been discovered. This was what the letter said. So that there will be no misunderstandings, the game I seek is for everyone to try and solve the riddle of the epitaph, not for you to try and catch me. If you don't solve the riddle, the pitiful sacrifices will further increase in number. It would be wiser to spend your time solving the epitaph instead of searching for me. If no one can solve the riddle, no one will survive. If a person appears who can miraculously solve it, I will give them all the gold of the Golden Man, the Ushinomiya family headship, and all of my power. I was the one who succeeded the Ushinomiya family headship after Kinzo-sama. I look forward to seeing who will succeed to that headship after me. The Golden Witch, Beatrice. This riddle of the epitaph was that thing. That strange epitaph written by the portrait of the witch on display in the hall of the mansion. Grandfather was the one who had it written, and the person who solved it would, supposedly, be given the inheritance or the hidden gold or something like that. Ever since it was first put on display there several years ago, the relatives had secretly tried to solve that riddle, despite saying on the surface that the whole idea was silly. However, up until today, no one had solved it. We were once again being urged to solve that unintelligible riddle, and this time we were faced with the threat that we'd all be killed if we didn't solve it. If that wasn't a game, what else could it be? The bold opinion that we should search the premises for the culprit did come up once. However, there was a good chance they were armed, and there might not be just one of them. And while they might have been able to kill more than 6 people, they had stopped at 6. Oh. I'll lower it a little bit. Let me know how it's doing. Thank you. The opinion that won out in the end was that we should avoid needlessly antagonizing the culprit and hole up in a safe place while we waited for the police to arrive. I think part of it is also that my voice is it's getting a little rough. But thank you for letting me know. After the adults carefully checked that the doors and windows in the guest house were locked, they set up camp in the lobby. As they loaded their guns to distract themselves from the tension, their expressions showed that they were already fatigued from this long day, which had still barely begun. There was nothing for me to do. Now, all I could do was be taught how to use a gun, to prepare for the off chance of something happening that led to an excess of guns. That's fine. Just obediently stay there, me and the rest of you. 6 people in the beginning again. And this time it's grandfather and all of the servants put together. Most likely, that child has carefully studied your moves from the last game, and has made an optimal move by taking the pieces you were most likely to suspect from the start. That makes sense. That was true both last time and the time before that. The servants who know everything about the mansion and who walk around with keys always fall into the most suspicious category of people. A good example in the last game would be Jessica's closed room. If I'd only accepted that a servant was the culprit, that wouldn't even have been a closed room. And so, that child went straight for them, probably to block off a method of escape he'd be likely to attempt sooner or later. Beato already proclaimed in red that there are no more than 18 people on this island. In other words, it's time to give up on that. Now I've got to suspect one of the 18. That is such a difficult word for me to say. That child will probably come at you by stealing the pieces for all the 18, while also making an appearance as a 19th person who shouldn't exist. For then you would be forced to accept that your opponent is a witch. As is our heart. It's true. After all, now that the intimidation approach has failed, trying to force you to surrender by showing you magic, the only remaining option is a frontal attack. Perfect. Bluffing won't work anymore. Be careful. Deception is what witches are best at. No matter what your opponent says or shows you, it will not be able to threaten the truth that you believe in. Don't forget that. Sure. As if I'd fall for the same moves over and over. Come on out, Beatrice. Let's get started. I'm already seated at the table of the contest, and my turn is already complete. To think we would end up having Madame as our foe. This will not be easy, milady. Our moves will be read thoroughly. I care not. By now, teachers' moves are all old-fashioned classics. There is nothing to fear. So, just what moves can you make beyond the classics I taught you? I look forward to see, Beatrice. You okay with this, battler? Can someone who denies witches really accept a witch as a strategist? Your stupid provocation is pointless. This is my advisor. No, my second. That doesn't change one bit that this is a fistfight between you and me. I understand. One as wobbly as yourself probably needs training wheels on his bicycle. Do as you like. Come, let us begin. It's your turn. I'm gonna call it a night here. And I'm gonna let the song play in the background because, oh my god, it's so good. I'm gonna save. And this is where we'll end it for now. And then next time we're gonna start on the reconstruction and the beers debate that's most likely gonna follow. Listen, I have to look for cliffhangers, okay? Because it's good content. And yes, I like to torture you. I'm not sorry at all. I also, like, when I watch playthroughs like this, I love it when they ended on cliffhangers, even though I also hate it. So I guess you could say that I like being tortured. Torture is great. You heard it here first, kids. Oh my god. Nobody clip that, for the love of all that is holy. Have you tried to not torture? I have tried to not torture. It's not as fun. It's not as fun, you guys. Look, if you want to clip it, I can't stop you. Do what you want. It's anyway, gosh, now I feel self-conscious. You should go to bed, Vape. It's late. It's later where you are than here. And I imagine you have work tomorrow. Yeah, I'm still doing this every Wednesday. What I was gonna say is I am considering doing 2 of these a week if I can manage. And maybe they'll be a little bit shorter. But ultimately, because I did the math, I'm cursing myself by saying this, but you can actually go back into VODs and then clip it from there. So even if you miss it, you can clip older stuff. Now take that knowledge and use it, especially in other streams. I'm saying go to other streamers, clip their good shit, because it's really helpful for streamers if you clip stuff. Tell us the great pun, Vape, please. Okay. Let me put on the, there we go. Yeah, I'm considering doing 2 of these a week instead, but I need to work out when I'm gonna do that, because I did the math, and it's gonna take longer than a year overall to finish the whole series. And I want to try to keep it within a year. I don't want to be doing the same series for a year, if that makes sense. I want to progress, you know? Yeah, it's crazy long. We're not even close to halfway yet. The horror clown from a certain movie, if they would be a beauty contender, but you can't see them, would you miss it? Yeah, that my plan initially was guaranteed content for a year. Fuck yeah. Which, I mean, it kind of works. But also, like, sometimes I kind of want to, like, do new stuff, right? So, at the same time, I am stuck to this for over a year, because I thought it would just be, like, a year, like a neat, clean. But that's not true. Babe, I'm sorry, I don't really get the pun. I mean, I get that it's it, and that's, you miss it. I get that. But what does the beauty contest come into it? That threw me off so hard, I'm sorry. Oh my fuck, okay. I thought I got the pun, I did not get the pun. Oh my god. I get it now. Wow. Wow, okay. You are a gift to this earth. Yeah, it's... Okay, here's what my plan is. I'm gonna sign off officially for, like, the VOD and stuff so I can cut it, because that's a hassle. And then I'll put my avatar back on and we can do a little chatting thing real quick. We'll keep it short, but yes. Thank you all for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I'll put it on the tweets and the YouTubes and the wherevers if I figure out what to do with my schedule and stuff, but until then, it's just Wednesdays. I really, really appreciate you all being here and sharing this series with you, and it's just a lot of fun. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day, and goodbye.